folks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Natasha and I do book things here. Today's video is going to be my Contemporary-A-Thon wrap-up. For those of you who don't know, I'm one of the hosts of Contemporary-A-Thon and we just finished Contemporary-A-Thon. It was between the 17th and the 24th. And for those of you who have watched my vlog, which I'm sure, you know, hopefully some of you guys have, the last little bit of Contemporary-A-Thon was kind of a nightmare. We had a blackout and sort of tornado blew through my city. But besides that, I'm going to talk to you guys about the books that I did end up reading and what I thought about them and whatnot. I have no makeup on today. It is Monday and that is my no makeup Monday. And so I don't care. There were 7 challenges in Contemporary-A-Thon. It was orange on the cover, a dark spooky contemporary, a diverse contemporary, a non-traditional format, a new to you author, a 5-star prediction, and your initials on the cover. So hopefully I did all the challenges. I don't remember. The first book that I read was Young Jane Young by Gabrielle Zevin. So this book, a new to me author, my initials on the cover in NB, and then like there's a D up there. I'm counting it. It's fine. I don't care. I'm counting it. Yeah, so orange on the cover, new to me author, and my initials. So 3. This book is almost like a Monica Lewinsky story, which is actually interesting because in the book they talk about like the Monica Lewinsky story, but basically the main character is much younger than a senator and they're, you know, doing the things together. But what was interesting about this is it actually follows several different perspectives, and in a way this could be almost a non-traditional format because the last little part of this is told almost in like vlog entries, which are really interesting. And I definitely like different narratives in this more than others, and different formats more than others, but overall I ended up giving it a 4. I found it pretty interesting, not gonna lie. Kind of thoroughly enjoyed it. So that was a good start to the week, and it was a pretty fast read too, so I do suggest it if you're looking for like a more politically driven book with some interesting narratives. So the next book was one of my diverse reads, and also a new to me author, and also my initials on the cover, and also a 5-star prediction. That is A Very Large Expansive Sea by Hajra Mafi. This is my ARC cover. This comes out in October sometime. But let me tell you, this book was amazing. This is my one 5-star read from the whole week, and wow, yeah, this book was good. It made me cry in the first 11 pages, and basically this follows a teenage girl who is dealing with a lot of just racism, bigotry, and just nasty kids and adults and teachers and community members and everything post 9/11. It's a year, almost a year post 9/11, and she chooses to wear hijab and what that means to her, and just different courses of events that happen because of that. You know, there's a love interest in this as well, but to me the love interest, like, yeah, it was an important part of the story, but it honestly didn't really take a forefront for me. Like, even though it was definitely part, like a very big part of the story, to me it was more of her day-to-day interactions with people that was heartbreaking and horrible, and I know that this is something that happened and happens still, and it's just was rough to read. And this book is very important. I think this one, when it releases, is going to make big waves, and for good reason, because I really hope it does. Yeah, it's some of the things that happen in this were just really hard to read for me. So I do suggest this. When this comes out, do pick it up because it was amazing. 5 out of 5. Do suggest. So then for my dark and spooky read, I am including Toil and Trouble, even though I was about halfway through during, when the week started. This has my initials on the cover, a bunch of new to me authors, orange on the cover, dark and spooky, diverse. Actually, this book almost did them all. So yeah, there's so many stories in this that I liked. Some that I liked more than others. Is this entirely contemporary? No, but neither is Summer of Salt. So I mean, really, just various stories with witches, witchcraft, I liked it. I liked it a whole lot. And if you need something into the spooky season, I do highly suggest this. This book just makes me want to like curl up with a pumpkin spice latte and read it in all my like fall outfits and stuff. Yeah, it was really good. I gave it a 4 though. The reason why I didn't give it a 5, even though I did enjoy it, is because I very rarely, or have yet really, to rate a short story collection a 5, just because there are stories that I don't like and stories that I really like, and so typically I rate them a 3 or a 4. So this one was a 4. Up next was my non-traditional format, and for that was Cujo by Stephen King, which conveniently happened to be the next Stephen King that I needed to read. So that ended up working out perfectly. I got the audiobook for it and I listened to it. The lady that did the audiobook was really good, really liked her, so if you can find an older lady that does the, I don't know which audiobook it was, I really don't know. I really should get her name for it, but anyway. Cujo, Rabid St. Bernard, that's about it. One thing I will say though is that this is one of my favorite Stephen King endings, and upon reading further about Cujo, it is the one ending that Stephen King regrets. So that's unfortunate. He did end up writing the majority of this book while he was high or drunk, so that's interesting as well. I did really enjoy the perspective of this from Cujo himself, like from the dog's actual perspective. It really gives you, you know, emotional feels for Cujo, and to know that, like, you know, it's not his fault he got rabies, and it's not his fault he is going slowly insane and rabid because of it. So you do really feel for that. I did really enjoy the last part of it. If you're familiar with the story of Cujo, once they are sort of stationary in one spot, that's when the story really gets very interesting and really intense. And I liked the ending. The ending kind of took my breath away when I listened to it on the bus. I went, oh, and then, yeah. So I did really like the ending. Is this a super scary book? It would be for some people if you sort of have like a claustrophobic kind of fear. If you're scared of big dogs, don't fucking read this. If you're scared of rabies, Julie, you know, don't read this. Other than that, I think it's one of Stephen King's like really well done contemporary work. There's no supernatural elements. This is all stuff that could happen to somebody, which makes it more scary to me because it's more of a real life scenario. So I gave Cujo a 4. I was kind of like baselining it out of 3 the whole time because it was just okay, and then that last sort of like 1/4 of the book is what really made it a 4 for me. So giving it a 4 for Cujo. Is that orange? Is it yellow? Is it orange? Is it mustard? Orange on the cover and a non-traditional format. And a dark and spooky. I think I got all the challenges. Yeah. And the last book that I finished for the week, one that's been really making its rounds on YouTube, I kind of really wanted more out of that, which I will talk about it, but it is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book has been pitched to me as very dark and very like, I don't know, dark is pretty much what people are saying. It's dark, it's thrilling, it's a little bit different. However, I think going into it reading as much horror and as much thrillers as I do, this wasn't as hard-hitting and graphic or anything that I'm used to. So to me, this is a fantastic and probably the best done YA thriller book that I've read probably ever. Not a 5-star book to me because I read so many other things that are so much more like graphic and gory and blah blah blah. This is really interesting. I did really like the premise of this. This is told in 2 different perspectives, one from a girl named Sadie and the other from a podcast, which again, that's almost a non-traditional format because of the way that they handle the podcast narrative, which is really cool. I did really like reading from that. But anyway, there's Sadie and the guy that does the podcast, and you sort of find out as he is trying to find out more about the podcast and more information by interviewing people and her actual timeline, what has happened to her sister and what has happened to her. And yeah, like, it's very good, and I can understand why people are reacting intensely to it if you haven't read like anything similar to it, or if it's not a format that you're used to, or if it's not like you're used to Karen Slaughter books, basically. So nothing is really too gory or surprising to me, but I did really like the format of it. I called the ending pretty early on, and the actual like very last page of the ending, if you've read this book, I kind of figured that as well. So it wasn't really a shock to me. That being said, I enjoyed reading it, I enjoyed figuring it all out, and I really liked the two different perspectives, and really liked the podcast, because I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. That's like pretty much my genre, and so I've listened to, you know, Someone Knows Something and Serial and stuff like that, and so you know, a lot of different podcasters as they're interviewing and trying to find out more information. I really like that, and that was portrayed really well in the book. I ended up giving it a 4. Do I suggest this? Yeah, absolutely, because I feel like people could easily digest this, and it's not too scary, but it is heavy in what it deals with. So just note that if you're not okay with like murder, sexual assault, kidnapping, child molestation, all that stuff, like it is heavy enough, but it's not so heavy that I'm like horrified by it, by like a Karen Slaughter book, for example. That's what I mean by it's one of the best handled YA of this nature. So give it a 4. So yeah, those are the 5 finished books that I ended up reading this week. I will talk a little bit about the one that I didn't get to finish just because of tornadoes. That is Pulp by Robin Talley. I am, let me see, I'm about 138 pages into this. So far, really good. Chelsea, you need this book. This follows a lesbian main character in modern day as she learns more about lesbian pulp fiction, and there's just a whole lot of girl and girl romance. That's pretty much what it is. There's girl and girl romance in narrative 1, there's girl and girl romance in narrative 2, and there's girl and girl romance in the stories that they're researching. So just a whole lot of lesbian action, and I'm very, very into it. It is reading fantastic so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It's long. I didn't realize that it's like quite a long book. It's 432 pages, so a little bit more of a chunky dunk than I thought it was. But yeah, I will update you guys in my September wrap up for what I actually think about that. But yeah, those are all the books that I read. I do hope you guys all had a good Contemporary-A-Thon. I hope you guys had power and stayed safe and wasn't as stressed out in the last bit that I was. But what are you gonna do? Leave me in the comments down below which challenges you did, how many books you read, do you feel successful, what books of mine that you want to read that I read, or whatever. Yeah, any comments down below, I'll be sure to read them and check them out, try to respond when I can, and yeah, until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye!